Well, it's time to expand our Star Trek fan films done right offering. Today, we dive into Starship Caliborn. Her captain, Robert Hawkins, aka Billy Swanson, beams in for a chat.
This is a Trekzone conversation.
This one is cool and different. Starship Caliborn is a photon torpedo destroyer producing out of Kentucky. Billy, thanks for a little bit of your time to have a Trekzone conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. I like the superlatives cool and different. I'll take it.
It is absolutely awesome to feature more fan films done right here on Trekzone. It's the whole mission of us with our Fan Film Awards last year. They're coming back next year as well, so Starship Caliborn definitely in the mix. Talk us through Caliborn. Where did the idea come from?
Well, working with Potemkin Pictures, Potemkin 1711 on YouTube, I had done a lot of away team missions for the previous Lexington ship, Starship Webster, which is still floating out there somewhere. And that got a familiarity for the character of Hawkins, who was a commander, and a lot of like rough and tumble stuff and, you know, levity bits and whatnot. But I was just showing up so frequently they couldn't get rid of me in a way. And so they came to me with the idea, in light of scheduling difficulties in the States and whatnot. You know, it was hard for everyone across the board during the pandemic, which is still going on. But so, you know, I was just in the right place at the right time to be offered my spinoff, my own ship. And I'd be a fool to say no to that kind of like dream come true moment. So, you know, I got to choose the ship, and that's where you get the photon destroyer, because it looked different. I think, you know, the aforementioned, like, there's a lot of Constitution classes. Everybody loves the Enterprise. The Reliance, a big one. So there's a lot of Miranda classes. But you don't see that stubby little guy. It caught my eye. There's something visually interesting about it. And the name Caliborn, I'm a Arthurian scholar. Studied a lot of Arthur legend in my day. And so something around the term of Excalibur, there's already a Starship Excalibur. So I went with the root name from the Elvish of Caliburn, and it turned into Caliborn, and there you have it. Like, you know, what better name for a photon class destroyer than, you know, referencing the Excalibur myth and legend. And maybe that'll come to play a little later, but that's how it ran. And then, you know, we scrambled and got some people together to be the ragtag crew, and the rest is, you know, the rest is history.
I love it. Very, very cool. So it has premiered. The Wartag is the first episode, I believe. Can you give us a bit of a tease on what that one's about?
So the aforementioned former commander, now Captain Robert Hawkins, is put aboard a ship that's been laying in wait, as it were, to address a problem that's coming down the pike. Specifically, as you mentioned, a Targ pack, which is for Klingon T'Pringa vessels that are inching their way to Starbase 211. And so they basically scrounge up the crew that didn't have a commission, maybe for various reasons, and threw them on board and said, go fix this problem for us. Or don't, you know, results may vary. And with that, and with Hawkins on the bridge, we have a solution in mind. So,
what's it like to film on Potemkin Pictures sets? They won our Fan Film Studio of the Year last month at the Live and Free Fan Film Awards. Getting onto those sets, I think what's really, really cool is that we have a few around the US and able to produce these fan films at a very low overhead, really.
Yeah, it really makes the magic happen. I work for Habitat for Humanity, and I've done all kinds of construction stuff. Working with them, I run into Randy, who runs Potemkin Pictures, and he had this shuttle coupe in his garage, and I'm like, what is that? And so he says, you could audition for me. It'll be here and there. We do that. I showcase some of my basic carpenter experience, and that's essentially flats. And he had moved all that stuff from Birmingham, Alabama to Kentucky, and he was going to build this set in his like basement, and that's a wild endeavor. I was like, let's do it. So the walls were pretty much already mostly done, but it needed a fresh coat of paint. It needed to be assembled. It was larger than the one it used to be in Birmingham, and so we had to add bits and lay carpet and make it basically permanent there, so it could fit several other ships. So there's inlays and stuff that you could switch out, but by and large, you know, it's building it from scratch. And it makes it just such an experience when you actually get on board on bridge. Like that's the kind of stuff that at least my dreams are like made of, to actually be in this physical space. It lends credence to the idea that the ship is a character because it's there, it's real. The Elkaris and everything work to a degree, and so that makes it real easy to be in the moment as an actor. But it's just wonderful to be like on a bridge and see those things in real life, and get to interact with each other and with the ship itself.
Absolutely. I think the other thing that I love too about Potemkin is that it's different to what we have. We have a lot of Constitution class bridges. I say a lot, 2 or 3 in the US, and we have Potemkin. That's different, and that's really cool. And being able to tell different stories. What kind of adventures are the crew going to be going on? Going off the description of the show, is it all battles and fights, or are we going to dive into the minutiae a little bit?
I think every story needs peaks and valleys to maintain interest. I'm definitely working on like a chapter plan, being the creative, and you have to have your high moments, and you get some rest moments with some levity. But we're aiming for a darker tone on this. Things matter, and at the heart of this mission, as said in the episode, it's not a diplomatic ship. We're not a science vessel. We're a ship of war. And I'm looking to emphasize some of those costs and dangers within, our story. I think we're doing an okay job at it. It'll be a bit darker than maybe other ones tend to be, but there's some levity in there. There has to be, because that's the overall human adventure that people like to see. It's just that I'm looking to add stakes that are both long-term and short-term with every film we make.
Well, what's the reaction been like to the Wartag, the premiere episode? I know it's received about 5,000 views in the last couple of weeks, some pretty good numbers. What have the comments been like?
Yeah, we hit, once we hit 5,000, I was pretty pleased with that. Those are to some rookie numbers, but for fan film especially, and Potemkin, that's an auspicious start, and that was a relief. You pour a lot into something and hope for the best, and there it is. And we're just happy to boost those numbers even more as time goes on. I love pestering people on my socials, along with, I insist that the crew do that as well. I know other ships under the Potemkin banner do that pretty well, but we're the new kid on the make a stand, not just like with the content, be aware in our social media presence. With that said, yeah, the comments, I like all the comments. I think all press is good press in one way or another, except for those that get banned, but you know how that goes. I was very anxious as a performer, as a creator, especially like maybe selfishly, to see how the ship would be perceived with the characters that we had, and to see how much, because at the end of the day, we have a great cast. It's fairly diverse for the casting call, and they're telling their story as best we can within the time we're allotted to not drag, and that seemed to go over very well. In terms of my performance, we added some stuff. We were going to do the meet cute postscript at the end, like Marvel does, like a lot of fan films do, to have that bit of levity at the very end, to help you stay through the credits and see all the people that deserve thanks for helping us. And it just didn't click. Writing comedy is a real pain, especially with voluntary actors. I learned that the hard way on this one. That note made. And Randy at that time had decided that he wanted to go in a darker course, and that's just sauce for the goose for me. So that moment with Azani and I, my first mate, where I tell her that this is no joke, like I'm for real and this is serious and there's a war coming, that all and added the tone that struck. And my concern, being an off-white Latino, but balding, white guy at the bridge, like I didn't want to get lost in the shuffle as like, here we go again with another, here's a captain and he's right because of this, because at his heart, Hawkins he's very military, he's very, career soldier, but he's flawed. He defers to his betters in his crew. He wants for it to be collaborative, partially because he knows the stakes. And, he doesn't leave a soldier behind kind of thing. And I reference that in my Voice in the Dark short that we did for the pandemic long ago didn't have quite 5,000 numbers, but it's out there. And that's a lot of backstory for Hawkins. But I was just concerned how he would be relayed. You know, you can only do so much as a performer and a writer to ensure that the character comes across a certain way. Thankfully, so far, it's read appropriately. And I'm glad for that, because I don't want to be another, you know, off-white balding captain. Like, there's more to it. And it's not his story altogether. It's the ship's story. It's the bridge crew's story. And everybody has a part in that. So, you know, it goes well. I think the best comment that speaks to this experience is someone mentioned that Star Trek is back and that this is the kind of Trek that they like in light of, you know, Strange New Worlds, Discovery, all that great stuff that's coming out. And I like to play to those lesser demons in a way. Like, yes, we are Trek that way. We are going to be kind of punch them in the mouth with any, you know, BS, as it were, from the enemy. But I'm also glad to flip that expectation now that it's been set, because yes, but with a maybe at the end. Like, it's still going to be Star Trek, so don't worry.
That is very, very cool. Looking forward to more Starship Caliborn. What's coming up in the pipeline?
Well, we've got under Potemkin, we've got a little Klingon adventure coming out pretty soon. Honor Blade that's going to tie in with Deimos. We have a Starship Webster adventure that's just now wrapping. I saw some of the VFX for the critter that makes a debut. And in terms of Caliborn, we are about 75% covered with our coverage. We do a lot of cool stuff in an away team capacity, but we brought some innovation to this filming that we hadn't done before, and I'm very excited to show that. And that should be finished around September, and that'll be basically Chapter 2. And as that one's wrapping, we will be on to Chapter 3. See, I like to call them chapters just because you can't say episode, we're films, but are we though? So I like to call it Chapter 3. So yeah, we're looking for a short-term plan. I've got 6 chapters in this part of it that make something of a complete volume, and then we're going to move on from there to see how that's received, because I'm glad that, you know, if Wartag started the conversation, that's encouraging to me, because it only gets stronger and better from there. So lots to look forward to.
Very, very cool, Billy. I love it. Looking forward to more Starship Caliborn and seeing you again on Trekzone. Thanks very much for beaming in and having a Trekzone conversation today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Look forward to it.
Thank you.